Good morning, welcome to Furry and Spoilt. Today I'm going to talk to you about living with a 9-year-old dog. So this is my little Albert here. He's actually 9 years and 8 months old. And I'm just going to talk through with you the different things that I've noticed that changes in him since he's been 9. But another thing is that his hearing and his sight. I don't think his hearing has particularly got worse. I can't say that I particularly noticed that. But his eyesight has definitely got worse. He, when we're out on our walks, he loves cats, loves them, and gets very excited when he sees a cat. And recently he started, well, no, probably about the last 6 months, he started to think that magpies are cats. You can imagine his brain nearly wants to explode when the bird flies off. So suddenly he thinks cats can fly. And if he sees a magpie and if it flies, then he just goes crazy. He gets very, very excited. So his eyesight is definitely going, definitely. As the dogs get older, probably not quite yet, but as he gets older, I'm going to try to not move furniture around in the house so much. I probably wouldn't be too bothered about that now. I think he could easily cope with that. But it's just something to think about. The other thing is he just generally looks more tatty these days. He's never been one of those dogs who looks pristine, trust me. But he just generally looks more tatty. Right, so he sleeps more, no question about that, as you would expect. During the day, he sleeps all day, really. He just sleeps and sleeps and sleeps, really, which is fine. What I have noticed is that at night time, he's more active. And this was causing a few problems because the dogs sleep in our bed. And he was kicking and up and down and moving around and disturbing my sleep. And it wasn't working at all. Luckily, so I haven't kicked anybody out of my bed. I feel, I haven't done that. Everyone can still come in the bed if they want to. But what I did was I brought him 2 really nice beds and I put them in the land just outside the bedroom door. And luckily he liked them and he went and he has taken straight to them. I'm so grateful for it because he was disturbing our sleep. And so I've got 2 of them because I don't know why, but he just always likes to have 2 beds. So I suppose if he gets hot in one, he can go to another one or whatever. So I put 2 of them out there, and he luckily, I'm so grateful, has taken to that, and he sleeps out there at night time, and so he's not bothering us so much because he's definitely more active at night. Right, so let me just show you the bed. So this is actually, I'm in the kitchen now. This is the big one. They all pile on this. But upstairs, for Albert, I've got 2 of a smaller version of this, much smaller version. But the thing is, if you see, it's got legs. So it's off the ground. Then the base of it is really thick. And then it's got the nice topper. But the point is look how thick that base is. Because if you've got a really thin base to your bed for the dog, then that causes all sorts of problems because you've just got no support for those joints. And I see it time and time again, the problems that are caused by dogs having a bed that is just way too thin for them. And so you do need a thickness like that. And ideally off the ground. But let me just show you something. Right, so if I show you here, this is Humps. He's our gorgeous rescue dog that we just recently got. But when he came to us, he had crippling arthritis, and now it's really, really doing very well. But what I want to show you is his bed. So you can see, whilst it doesn't actually have legs, it's really high off the ground, and it's very, very, it's firm but soft, if you understand what I mean. But it means he's not just lying on the ground. And all this bed is we were getting rid of a sofa, and it's one of the cushions off the sofa. That simple. And it's provided him with a really, really good bed that's off the ground. Just, you need to get them, the bed needs to be thick, really thick. So often you see beds. I hunted high and low for so long to try and find a good dog bed, and it's really hard. And they come advertised as this big fluffy bed or whatever. But when they actually get to you, they're not. They're just thin, and that causes old dogs, well, all dogs aren't great in that at all, but it causes old dogs in particular really bad problems. Right, so let me show you the supplements that I give Albert. So I give him some coconut oil every day, because just a little spoon of that, he likes that a lot. And I put a little spoon of that in with his 2 meals. And that, honestly, coconut oil helps so well. It's microbial and all this malarkey, and it really, really does really good things for dogs, and it's very good for dogs that are prone to itchy skin like Albert is. The other thing that I do is I give all of my dogs this, a spoonful of salmon every day, just tinned salmon. And again, I just get it from Tesco's when I do my shopping. And that, again, really is very, very good for their skin. Then about probably a year ago, I noticed Albert was starting to get stiff in his back legs. And so I did some research, and the 4 ingredients that I came up with that he needed were turmeric, glucosamine, green lip mussel, and hyaluronic acid. And those 4 ingredients I can get from these 2 supplements here. So it's this one here, which is a turmeric and black pepper. You need the black pepper to make the turmeric work. So that's one that I give him, and that's got glucosamine in it as well. And then I get this Yumove joint care, and that's got the green lip mussel in it and the hyaluronic acid. Now his legs got a bit stiff. Now I don't know if it was caused by arthritis or if it was just a bit of just general stiffness. I don't know. But recently we've rehomed Humps, and he has chronic, really crippling arthritis, which with these 2 products as sorted. I mean, it's not sorted, it will always be there, but he is now completely active and able to walk, whereas he wasn't. And so these supplements, they're not just good for a bit of stiffness, but they absolutely do wonders for arthritis in dogs. So if your dog has got arthritis, I've got a whole series of videos, and I was new to arthritis. All the dogs I've owned, all the years, I'd never had a dog with chronic arthritis before. And I didn't know enough about it. And so I researched it, and I researched, and I found out some incredible stuff, really incredible stuff. And, I won't talk about it now because it's not what this video is about, but please, if your dog is stiff or he has arthritis or whatever, please go to the playlist for arthritis and watch those videos, because honestly, it was astounding what I found out, and actually so simple to sort out the problems with arthritis. So they are the supplements that Albert is on every day. If you have watched any of my hotspot videos, this is the little darling that those videos were all about. So I'm not going to go through it now, but if you want to know about his story with his hotspots, but more importantly, if your dog's got hotspots or itchy skin, go and watch those videos, because everything I put into place for him, so that was the first year of his life, and now he's nearly 10, and he hasn't had any hotspots at all since. So yeah, so that's another thing that he's doing really well with his skin and his hotspots. We haven't had any hotspots at all. Is he going to walk off? No, he's not. So yeah, so I'm really pleased with how that aspect of all things is going. The other thing is that if you suffer with hotspots, if you need to know about the hotspots, I'll put it in the video. You know, the video at the end, I'll put it in there. The other thing is with Albert is that he has learning difficulties. Now, there's not a lot of research into it, but it's kind of a form of autism in dogs. And that kind of goes to why I have to keep things calm and into such a routine with him. Really, really help. Routine, I think, is not just because he has learning difficulties. And so routine is vital because of that. But I think because he's old, I think in old dogs, routine is I've just done a video about it, but if I excuse me, sorry. I think routine is vital in any dog. I think it helps keep them calm and happy. But I think in an older dog, it's really important. But yeah, so he has learning difficulties. And really how that plays out is that he But it just takes him a lot longer to learn anything. But that isn't really that important on the whole. He doesn't, when we first started to notice it, when he was tiny, tiny, and he would just get I remember one day there was a piece of paper had flown off the table and down in front of his water bowl. It didn't block the water bowl. There were still loads of ways he could have got to the water bowl, and he just started screaming at the top of his voice, like high pitched screaming, and I couldn't work out what was going on. And it was incidents like that. I remember one day a leaf just flew onto his back, and again, high pitched, frantic screaming, like a sound you've never heard. And I knew something was really wrong and started to research it and found out about this learning difficulties in dogs. And, but as now, basically, so how I live my life with him is he never is on his own. He's with me all the time. So because he's with me all the time, all of my dogs are with me all the time. It could sometimes be challenging, but that's just how he is. So he's always with me 24 hours a day. And, you don't really notice it a lot now because we're just into such a routine with him, and we know how things have to be with him. But I'll talk about that in other videos down the line. He's absolutely out cold, conked out, fast asleep here with his dirty. He's always got a dirty face. So that's really other challenges that he has, hotspots and learning difficulties. But he's doing great with them both. He eats really, really well. I don't have any issues at all with him eating. No pickiness, no fussiness at all. He eats really, really well. And the food I've got him on is keeping him really healthy and really well. I'm a little bit obsessed with dog nutrition. It's just something I have a particular interest in. And he's such a little barrel shape, but there's not. He's just muscle and he's not fat at all. He's a really, really good weight. And the food that I feed him on is this Barking Heads. It's a grain-free food. That's really important, especially for his breed. And it's 85% meat, which again is really important. If you want to know about feeding your dogs, I have a whole playlist on it. And I go in great detail into the composition of food, how to understand what's in your dog food, and the ingredients that you don't want in there because they can cause real bad problems. So that's what I feed in, Barking Heads wet food. And it's the wet food you want if you want to do this one, not the dry food. But yeah, eating, going really, really well. He's still very active. But something that I have noticed, even though he's still active and flexible and has plenty of energy on our walks, what I have noticed is that the walks need to be shorter because he cannot go for as long as he used to be able to. And so to get around that, what we do, because I've still got two other dogs that do need longer walks, there's two things we do. One is we carry him some of the walk. So luckily, typical, luckily my husband can pick him up and because he's only small, and we'll walk him some, pick him up for a bit, walk him a bit more, pick him up. There is no way, if we expected him to do the walk that the 6-year-olds are doing, there is no way he'd be able to keep up with that. I would never ask that of him. So picking him up and putting him down is something that's absolutely been necessary for him. If we are going to be out for like a whole day, like sometimes we take him to National Trust and stuff like that. If we're doing stuff like that, then we've got a pushchair for dogs, and I'll put him in that, and he loves it because he actually really likes being picked up and carried because he can see the world from a higher point, and he really does like that. And in the pushchair, it's the same. And also, when you've got him in a pushchair and you're walking him around the National Trust property, loads of people stop and say hello to him, and he loves all of that. You know what Bichons are like; they just love all that attention. So that's something else we do. Long walks are definitely off the table now. He could not now do a long walk, and I certainly wouldn't ask it of him. Even though the thing is, when he's actually walking, he looks really energetic and full of it. But I just know that to carry him on for that long walk it wouldn't do his legs any good, and it wouldn't be very good. And the other thing that I mentioned before is that even just doing those walks where he's carried, he is sleeping a lot more during the day now. Something else that I've noticed is that he's feeling the cold more. he's definitely colder this winter than he was last winter. And even though we have had quite an extreme winter here, he's definitely feeling the cold more. In the summer, I can't say I particularly noticed him feeling the heat more. But then, I mean, we had a really bad heat wave this summer just gone. So the house had all the air conditioning on. The house was, I kept it at 19 degrees all the time. So he was never out in the sun really for me to really see whether or not he was suffering in the heat. But I definitely have noticed that he's colder, definitely colder. So when we go out on walks, anything kind of 2 degrees and below, 2 degrees, I will put his coat on him. And then when we're indoors, well, indoors is nice and warm, so he's fine. There's no problems there. But definitely when we're out now, I'm putting a coat on him more than I have done in the past. And I'm definitely going to be keeping a closer eye on him this summer coming up, because I really think that if he's feeling the cold more, there's a chance that he would be feeling the heat more, because like older people do, don't they? They feel the heat more and they feel the cold more. And so I'm going to keep a close eye on him this next summer and just make sure that he's not also going to be suffering more. Well, he won't be suffering in the heat because I don't have him in the heat, but you know what I mean, just be feeling the heat more. I just thought when I said about he's feeling the cold more, I didn't really explain how I knew that. And I knew it because he would be curled up in a tighter ball more. So when dogs are cold, they get into a tighter ball rather than being spread out. And I noticed he was doing that more. Like he'd be on the sofa, but he'd be in a tighter ball. And so that just made me think, oh, he looks like he's cold. And so I would just pop a light blanket over the top of him. And that sorted that problem out. And also, like, quite a lot, he sleeps, he'll get off the sofa and sleep on the floor, where he really wasn't doing that anymore. He was just sort of in a ball on the sofa. And so that's how I knew that he was feeling cold. He's got quite a pink bottom at the moment, for the eagle-eyed amongst you. And that is because he's got piles, poor little darling. I'm not going to talk about them because I've just started some treatment for them. If it works, then I will talk to you about it in the future. But for now, he's got piles. I'm doing stuff. It all seems to be going very well. So if that works, you got piles, darling, haven't you? It's not much fun, is he, sweetheart? They're not hurting him, but he has just been. They were itching him, and that's kind of what brought my attention to them. But we're working on them, and they seem to be going. It seems to be going all right, doesn't it, darling? So as Albert's getting older, one of the things that I'm very aware of is his teeth. And in older dogs, they can become a problem. We're not having any problems at all with Albert's teeth. Now, every evening, my husband brushes their... How many times can I say teeth? Every evening, my husband, one of his jobs is that he brushes all the dog's teeth. And we've done this since the whole of his life. And I think it's really paid off because... we've not had any problems with him at all. When he had to go, so when we moved to this house, we had to go to a vet for, you have to go for that initial checkup thing, don't you? And they did say that he had a bit of tartar on his front teeth. And so in a minute you'll see when my husband does it, but he has a finger toothbrush, and it means he can just get in around those front ones because they were getting a bit of tartar on them. The toothbrush was missing them, but with the finger one, he could get to the front ones, and so that stopped that now. That isn't a problem at all. But I mean, at his age, to start seeing teeth issues, wouldn't be surprising. But we're not. Everything's going really, really well. He's still got all his teeth. Something is happening that I'm not sure about. They seem to have got sharper. Now, you know what I'm like. I research. I like to Google. I like to find out the solutions to things. And I have been looking into it, and I can't find the answer anywhere. I can find loads of places where people are asking the same question, but I can't find the answer anywhere. So I shall be researching that and finding out why, as dogs get older, is it a thing that as dogs get older, their teeth get sharper, or is it an Albert thing? I don't know. So I shall be researching that to find out. So, just going to switch now to the finger ones. I'll keep recording because you might want to see this. Yeah, so it's just the one, you just do it with your finger, and you just, obviously you've got to really trust the dog, and you can really control which teeth you do. And so you can see there, my husband's able to get right on those front teeth that the big toothbrush wasn't able to get. And you can see how much Albert loves it. He loves it all. I have done a video on brushing our dog's teeth, if you need to know anything more about it, what we use or anything. So that's his brushing his teeth, all going very well. Something that I work hard at is to make sure that the house is a calm and relaxed place. Now that really suits my personality really well, because I like to have a peaceful, calm house. I'm not one for a noisy house with lots of people in it and stuff. So it just suits me really to have older dogs, and it definitely works for Albert. He doesn't like it if well, the house doesn't really ever get rowdy, but if sometimes, say, Harry, my other dog, one of my other dogs, if he starts to play with a toy and gets a little bit, you know, he's throwing it around and he's getting a bit playful, because he's 6, so he can, you know, he's still playful at times. But I can see that Albert really doesn't like it at all. And luckily, Harry isn't really playful very often, and Humps, my other dog, certainly isn't. And so it remains a peaceful, calm house. But the thing I've definitely noticed with Albert in this last year is how he really doesn't like it if things get a bit, you know, noisy or anything. And that works great, because I'm not somebody for having lots of people around or having the house noisy. I'm just not like that. I like a calm, peaceful environment, and I'm very much about energy, and I like the house to always have a calm energy. And so that works really well with Albert, but he definitely needs that. And one of the things I love so much about older dogs, and I'm so drawn to older dogs, if we're out on a walk and there's an older dog, I can't resist going over and having a cuddle. I just can't. They just have such a wonderful energy, and that lovely, relaxing, calm energy is kind of what I'm always aiming for. And I'm very, you know, drawn to it. And so I definitely create that for Albert. So that's it. That is what it's like to live with a 9-year-old dog. It's a wonderful experience. You know, I'm really enjoying this stage in his life. It's a lovely stage. So you know where I am. I'm TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all the places. So if you want to come over there and have a chat, or have a chat in comments, or whatever it is you want to do, I am loving you contacting me in comments and telling me about your dogs. The hotspots situation, I will never get over how bad that is. I had absolutely no idea. When I told my story about Albert on this channel, I was just telling my story about Albert. I thought, yeah, sure, it's going to help some dogs, but I didn't really think much further than that. But I had absolutely no idea how many dogs out there were suffering with hotspots. I had absolutely no idea. And also that there is still no help. It's as bad now to find information. It's as hard now to find information about hotspots as it was 10 years ago when I had to look for it with Albert. It was probably more like 8 years ago, but it's got no better. So to hear your stories, and to hear that, well, a couple of things really. To hear that that you're putting my ideas into place, and it's stopping your dogs from suffering. I just wish you could understand how lovely that makes me feel. But also to know that Albert didn't just suffer in vain, that a lot of dogs are getting helped because of what he went through, and the journey that we're still on. But yeah, so don't ever, if you want to tell me about your dog in comments and you're hesitating, please don't hesitate. Please tell me, because I actually love hearing about your dogs. Even if it's not, hot spots, and it's not they're suffering, even if it's just to tell me about them. I really like to hear about them. Well, you probably worked it out. I'm very passionate about dogs. So that's it for today. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.